disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we're talking post-election, and I know it's a bit late, we've been having technical difficulties, so on and so forth. There is some developing news in the regards of the federal cases against Donald Trump, because that was the big thing everyone was worried about is, oh my God, if this guy gets elected, what's going to happen to all the prosecutions they were trying to do on Donald Trump? And there's been a development with the DOJ to possibly downwind the fact that now being president-elect, they can't really try to put on trial a sitting president. So PBS News points out the DOJ evaluating how to wind down 2 federal cases against Trump after his election win. I don't know exactly what they mean by wind down, but that's something that's interesting to take of that the fact that DOJ, after all this time, after all the prosecutions, the Stormy Daniels thing, the classified documents, the inflating his numbers on properties of Mar-a-Lago, which is what every single real estate agent does, any business person does, really, is they artificially inflate their numbers to try to come to a negotiation. That's basic principle 101 of business for a lot of these people. And also the ridiculous impeachments, the Russiagate scandal that they pulled on him. Every single attempt, including assassination attempts, have backfired. So it seems like now with Trump being elected into office, now the deep state intelligence, the infurious CIA, the 3-letter agencies now have to come to some sort of terms to understand that, well, we can't do anything now. We've tried everything we could to scare people away from this guy that we think is a boogeyman, but operates in the same motives that we do. I don't know what else to do but to downwind this play, as they say here. So Colin Rugg points out, just in the Department of Justice and Jack Smith, that's one of the attorneys, I think, with the New York case, immediately end their cases against Donald Trump. The DOJ cited their policies that presidents cannot be prosecuted. However, it was assumed that they would work up until the last day. What's interesting here, so they're quoting him, what's interesting here is that the DOJ is moving to end them even before he takes office, citing the long-standing DOJ policy that sitting presidents can't be prosecuted, and that there was some sort of thought that maybe special counsel Jack Smith was going to sprint through the finish line, was going to work up until the last day, force Trump to fire him, wait until a new attorney general was appointed. But what does not appear to be thinking inside, that does not what appears to be thinking inside the department. The thinking is that these cases can't go forward. That's interesting. That they would announce after the election, not the inauguration, but right after the election, knowing that it didn't convince enough people to steer clear of Trump, that they're going to drop these cases, that they're going to downwind these. Almost like it was a political motivated stunt. Almost like they were using this as a deterrent for the election. How all these charges magically appeared the closer and closer and the closer we got to opportunities of an election process to try to oust Donald Trump. If this is really about a criminal case, if this really was about a serious offense, why would they be dropping it right after the election? Why would they not work up to the last day to try to actually prosecute him? Because they know there's nothing. They have nothing. They can't move forward with any of this stuff. Every opportunity they tried to move forward to oust Donald Trump has backfired on them. So now they gotta come to terms out in the open and say, we can't do anything. So here's MSNBC covering it.
Yeah, Chris, it's not a surprise that these cases can't go forward when Donald Trump takes office. What's interesting here is that the DOJ is moving to end them even before he takes office, citing the long-standing DOJ policy that sitting presidents can't be prosecuted. And there was some thought that maybe Special Counsel Jack Smith was going to sprint through the finish line, was going to work up until the last day, force Trump to fire him, wait till a new attorney general was appointed. But that does not appear to be the thinking inside the department. The thinking is that these cases can't go forward. There's no reasonable prospect of getting to trial within the 3 months before Donald Trump takes office. These cases are mired in legal issues that would be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court had Donald Trump lost the election. So now that he's won the election, DOJ officials are thinking that, look, there's just no room to move in these cases. And so the sensible thing to do is to figure out a way to wind them down. And it may stem from Donald Trump's lawyers filing some kind of motion or making a request saying in light of the DOJ policy, you need to drop these cases. Now, there are a few wrinkles here, one of which is that the classified documents case includes 2 other defendants who are not subject to that policy. And it's been dismissed, obviously, but that dismissal has been appealed. And the DOJ considers that ruling to be very bad law, that it would like to be overturned. So that appeal may continue.
So I think Jack Smith was the attorney that was presiding over the classified documents case, which I knew that was kind of messed up. I thought that was kind of a sneaky tactic. I mean, you're talking about a former president who was serving in office who has every legal ability to classify and declassify documents when he's sitting in office and trying to prosecute him on harboring said documents. Also, the same crimes that Joe Biden has committed as vice president, which is more of a heinous offense, being that he was a vice president. He wasn't the president. He wasn't commander-in-chief. He was underneath them, harboring a bunch of documents in his estate in Delaware. And they didn't bat an eye for that. They didn't bat an eye that Joe Biden did the same exact similar thing. But they went after Trump. They raided Mar-a-Lago. They said that what he was doing was absolutely criminal, and how dare he do that? He's undermined democracy. He might have the nuclear codes. Yeah, he might, because he was the president. And as president, you have every single legal power to classify and declassify whatever you want in that situation. And they knew that Trump wasn't going to do anything about it. They knew that this case was going to fall flat on their face. And that's why at this point now, they have to come clean and say there's nothing we can do. We have nothing to move forward with these cases. So, our objective failed. We try to scare people enough to stay away from Trump and shine him as some sort of felon, but people went for the felon. People went for the felon in mass droves. Latinos, black voters, white voters, young Gen Z and millennials, baby boomers, the Amish, for God's sakes. The Amish came forward for Trump. So, the deep state intelligence, CIA, NSA, FBI, the 3-letter spy agencies have egg on their face because all the times, all the tactics they tried to prosecute Trump with has blown back once again. And now they can't move forward. They can't do anything about it. So, we'll just have to downwind it. Which, again, I find that such a weird term. Like, why can't they just say they drop it? Or, I don't know what that means. To downwind something. So maybe they're keeping it on the coals, as they say. They're keeping it down low. They're keeping it QT. I don't know why they would just give up to wind down the Trump cases. Or maybe it's something to do with, there's an idea. Because this is the documents case. If they're winding down, maybe this means that they're still keeping what little evidence they have. Like, it's interesting. Maybe they're trying to do the same tactics that Clinton and Barack Obama have been accused of, which is smashing up their hard drives, putting bleach in their servers, and trying to hide away this incriminating evidence. Maybe that's it. Because it just seems weird that they would say they will wind down the Trump case I don't know what that means. They can't put him to trial. They can't give him they can't prosecute him. They can't give him a jail sentence. He's the sitting president. So what exactly is the point of this? I don't know, but that's some interesting developed news in the fact that all these trumped up charges on Donald Trump has blown back harshly in the direction of the establishment. Now they have to come clean and say, yeah, we kind of screwed up. Our objective didn't work. People voted for him in mass waves. Yeah, I guess we gotta stop this. And considering the fact this is coming right after the election, really just exposes the hindsight of all of this, that it was purposely done to guide people away from voting for Trump. That's all this was. It's trying to scare people away from voting Donald Trump, painting him as this felon, painting him as this, Adolf Hitler-like character, this fascist. And it didn't work. It didn't work. So most people would try to step back, take some breather time, self-reflect, which is maybe what the intelligence has to do at this point now. Well, the rest of the mainstream media is just, smearing 9 ways to Sunday. It's your fault. It's this fault. It's racism. It's misogyny. It's dumb people. These uneducated, uncultured swine, as people like Joyanne Reed would say. But there we go. The Trump cases are winding down.